I mean, and it really does come down to like in terms of like standardization and communication, and everyone kind of arriving at the same page or coming up with the same set of rules that everyone
Yeah,
kind of agrees to play by. So much of like the EV charging world and some of this microgrids is proof of concept, one off. It's the Wild West out there.
yeah,
Deciding on what an appropriate bus voltage is in certain applications. Again, it's not always necessarily defined in the NEC very clearly, especially as it relates to DC. So, working with like standard organizations like the Current OS Foundation, UL, Schneider, ABB, to really help kind of to shape that, and then to be able to make it so the DC assets that are all on this all communicate with each other. No
yeah,
consumer wants to be pigeonholed into a really specific product or application that they can't scale, or if there's risk of that company going out of business. There has to be
yeah.
some sort of an alignment on like how we communicate and what those standards really look like.
So the giants of the industry of the electrical, you know, industry, Schneider, ABB, you named maybe a couple other names. These now you guys are working as a, is this kind of like a open source nonprofit organization,
It
Current
is, yeah.
OS,
It's an open source, yeah,
the
nonprofit.
current OS Foundation, to determine the standards that will essentially be used for these, the as a new world, really a
Yeah,
DC
yeah, and it's
DC.
everything from the little teeny DC components all the way up to the large scale. There's got to be
Yeah,
some way of everything playing nice in the sandbox, as it were,
yeah.
and kind of having that level of definition, and safety
There,
standards.
there must be so many different elements to making this happen or work. I guess. Like, what are some of the key obstacles or stumbling blocks and bottlenecks in your view that need to
Yeah,
be tackled so that we get to this more efficient world?
yeah, in my opinion, I think one of them would have to do kind of with some of the protections. AC has a tendency to like if a circuit breaker goes off, the AC just it just stops. But the DC doesn't have that 0 volt cross, so it kind of arcs, and having kind of those arc flash situations kind of poses a risk in terms of like safety
Sure.
potentially. So and nobody really wants a bunch of like fuse disconnects and some of
Yeah.
those types of solutions. So I think like where some of it's going to come from, and I think it'll become far less expensive in the future, is some of the more like silicon-based solutions for solid state relays, circuit breakers, and then those have the added advantage too of really being like smart devices. I mean, it's a smart panel at your house. It's not just on or off. I mean, it understands what current
Mhm.
is going through it. It's able to limit it. The utility is able to take a look at it. Everyone's house, everything can communicate in a smart grid situation.
And I know very little about this topic, but I've overheard things like from the wave of that length that appliance is drawing, you can tell which appliance unit is drawing how much power in your home, and you can kind of tell, okay, so the refrigerator used this much, and the microwave used this much, and the washer dryer used this much, kind of analysis. Um, can will this be able to be done in the DC world as well with the same amount of ease right now?
Yeah, because it's really just it's limiting the current. So as long as it understands the current, it almost allows you to kind of oversize your house or your panel
Hmm.
to the extent that it can mitigate how much power the individual residents might be drawing. So it knows that in this neighborhood you can't turn on your EV charger, dryer, refrigerator, everything all at once.
Sure.
And it allows for kind of more like a staggered approach for how the energy is being utilized at a house, which is going to help offset some of the infrastructure problems that we're going to face. It can't just all be solved by bringing in the max amount of power to each individual location. It has to be solved with a
Yeah.
variety of solutions, and some of those are smart charging solutions and
Yeah.
the AI solutions.
Right. Right. So if you were to take a guess of like how this is gonna look like in the future,